In what ways does your media product use, develop, and challenge forms and conventions of real media products? I believe that my media product has challenged general conventions, the medians of a fresh genre, and using pastiche to an advantage by showing similar effects as other magazines such as Q Magazine and Expose Magazine, which is an independent Sheffield magazine. My magazine is called Tailor Made, and the genre is Northern Soul / mod movement. The reason why I chose this particular genre was because not only is there no other big national or even independent magazines which are specific to the genre, but also there is an original idea and there is a gap in the market. I also enjoy Northern Soul music, and I believe because of my Northern heritage, it is fitting to create a Northern Soul magazine with mod aspects to present to a Northern Soul audience. I chose to use mod genre because, again, there's a gap in the market for this specific genre. However, because the mod is a subculture of Northern Soul music, I thought it made sense to broaden the spectrum of the magazine. So even though it was made for a specific audience, it also meant that the range of audiences were a lot more than just a Northern Soul audience. I use pastiche throughout many times, as I wanted to show the resemblance of a conventional magazine, as it's something which makes Q Magazine and NME Magazine sell a lot of magazines every week because of their specific stylings and house styles, which are known and trusted by audiences, which are majority loyal to their specific audiences. In my type of magazine, I wanted to give across the pastiche stylings of a big magazine such as Q Magazine, but at the same time let it be a magazine only produced and distributed in the north of England, as it's something which I personally believe that Northern Soul stands out for, and because the genre is directed to niche audiences, I thought it should be a more independent magazine rather than following the normal conventions of bigger magazines. To get the magazine which I wanted, I thought about the 3 stages of radio stations go through: production, distribution, and exchange. Even though this had nothing to do with the magazine, I believe that the principles could be used in the same way and be used effectively. I also did this as it ties in with the regular conventions of a magazine, which is something I wanted to represent very clearly. I shall be discussing the production and distribution stages and what I did to utilise them in my magazine. I couldn't talk about the exchange part due to the fact that there was no exchange which took place. Production. The production of the magazine started with coming up with ideas / genres for the magazine. I personally knew that I wanted an independent magazine, as it meant that I could explore more specific genres due to my first genre in being idea was an indie rock magazine. After doing research on the genres, I had to present my ideas to the class through a presentation. When coming up with a presentation, I had 2 big ideas for my magazine. One being an indie rock magazine called Corporate Vampires, which I found inspiration from a picture I took of a sticker on a phone box, and Tailor Made, the Northern Soul genre magazine, which I took inspiration from listening to some of my dad's old vinyl soul records. It was made clear from the start that the majority of the class wanted to use indie genres, and it was also made clear that no one else had used Northern Soul genre as a genre, which gave me the starting point to use this. The criteria explained that I must come up with at least 4 pages for my magazine, including a front cover, a contents page, and a double page spread. I decided to also add an extra advertising page as it linked in with the pastiche and conventions of a magazine. With my ideas down, I used Flatpan to create the initial idea as to what my magazine would look like. I then used Adobe Photoshop and Adobe InDesign to create my magazine using general conventions as mastheads and using house styles to show the form of a magazine of which I was taking on. The pictures and interview which took place in the magazine were also done by myself, in which the interview is with an actual Northern Soul DJ. I used this to get the realistic vibe of the magazine and to get a good starting point for the house stylings of the magazine, as the interview and photos were one of the first things I did. This gave me the basis for the rest of my magazine, and it meant that it was giving me frequent ideas to add to the magazine. Distribution. Once the magazine was done, I decided to use horizontal integration to to create effect and to create an audience for the magazine. For the interview, I created a video for the entire interview which can be watched on YouTube through the channel which I created for my media work. I also created a Facebook page and a Twitter page for the magazine, which the usernames can be found in the contents page of the magazine. I use these because the internet is a good branching point for horizontal integration to take place, as it's one of the easiest places to get a message or a brand heard. So through using free services, it meant that it was acting like an advertising project